Hello, this is Bill Cludsey. Welcome to a Rivals of Ixalan draft. Pack 1, pick 1. We have a choice here between Direfleet Poisoner, always good, usually just kills any creature you want or helps your creatures out on offense. Merfolk Mistbinder, which is in a powerful tribe and it's a powerful lord in that tribe. And I guess you could also look at some of the next best cards, like Slippery Scoundrel can be nice to set up in some games. The Death Spitter's aggressive and the only red card here, so we're not that's a signal to take it. And then Hunt the Weak is some nice removal. I'm gonna go with the rare. I've been impressed with Direfleet Poisoner. It fits every role you could want. And it's just it's both a trick and a super efficient creature. Even if you remove any couple of these abilities, it's still great. Whoa, Zetalpa. If this was triple Ixalan, you just slam Baffling End here and ignore the 8-drop. But in Rivals of Ixalan, getting up to 8 mana and just having an automatic win the game is well worth it. We've already got a little defensive creature here. I guess it plays offense and defense pretty well, but if we're trying to ramp up to 8 mana, then it'll be on defense for the most part. That's too exciting. Zetalpa is just unbeatable. So I'll take that and pass. Baffling End, which is a bit of a shame, but not much else here that's really in our colors, so here we go. Try to focus on some ramp. Who are we passing to here? We've got Zakurin, Hiyama, Ekin, period, Arcanic, J. Bood, Adam, and Truck. Siegehorn Ceratops. It is not easy to get this guy going unless you have Hunt the Weak or some red splash. But it's a fine card, I mean, just as a 2-drop. What do we want for our deck? A Rozka Relic to ramp up to Zetalpa. Not unreasonable. Maybe we just take the Siegehorn Ceratops and get into more of a green-white deck. It's early enough to build around it. Evolving Wilds would be another good option. Silvergill Adept is good. I'm not a huge fan of Divine Verdict. I like the pacifism effects more that you can't play around so easily. Yeah, we'll take the Siegehorn Ceratops. Famished Paladin. Is this thing just... is it just appealing because it's foil? It actually does a very good job on defense for a while. And the other option here is Squire's Devotion, which would be insane on Zetalpa, or even Siegehorn Ceratops. Kind of giving up on Direfleet Poisoner at this point. Yeah, the pick here looks like it's between Paladin and Devotion, and I'm actually going to take Paladin here. It just sits back on defense very well early on. Another good defensive creature here, Cacophodon. And if we do get a belligerent Brontodon, the thing that makes toughness deal damage for creatures, well, first of all, that's insane with Zetalpa. 8/8 trample, indestructible, double strike, just list the abilities. It does make Cacophodon into a 4-mana 5/5, effectively. Hunt the Weak, though. Yeah, if we're going to make this Ceratops work, and even something like Famished Paladin, I'll take that here over Luminous Bonds. What else? What else do we have? Moment of Triumph, another good one when you have Ceratops, and it's a good way to untap Famished Paladin. There's an argument to be made here for maybe one of these black cards or Jadecraft Artisan, but Moment is just a nice trick that'll help us survive and do everything we need it to. Alright, we do get a chance at Squire's Devotion. So that's a fine follow-up play to either of our foil 2-drops right now. And it's great on Zetalpa, so I'm happy to pick that up here. It's a nice defensive play. Stone Quarry, a really powerful sideboard card in Cleansing Ray, and Snubhorn Sentry. What is the pick? I'm not a huge fan of Colossal Dreadmaw now. We'll likely have another opportunity at it. Stone Quarry could let us splash some giant red thing that we want. Yeah, I'll take Stone Quarry here. It's likely enough that we end up with something we want. Everdon Champion. I like that. It's not great in every deck because it's not that aggressive. It's hard to cast. It's only a 2/2. Pretty easily blocked. It does get better if you can pump it up, though, with something like Squire's Devotion or Hunt the Weak. And we do have that capability. Suncrested Pterodon, happy to get that. We have enough little vampires going around that this could easily become a vigilant flyer, and it just blocks everything. A relic. Do we really want a relic in this deck? It is a good deck for it. Again, not super in love with Divine Verdict. Take a relic. I mean, relic's usually even worse. But we are ramping. And gaining life does make sense. And I've always been impressed with the power of relic, in sealed at least. So, Squire's Devotion Wheels. That is surprising to see. I thought people had caught on to how good this was. But I guess we picked the right thing if that's wheeling. Harness might be decent. I would say that pack went really well for us. 3 great early targets for the Squire's Devotion. And yeah, I'm happy with how that went. Warkite Marauder is great. A little fragile, but what do you expect from your 2-drop flying thing that makes Zetalpa into a 0/1 when you're attacking? You can finish it off because it does lose Indestructible. So if you attack with this and then use any kind of burn spell on it, it will die. But I'm not trying to think of ways to lose here. I am trying to think of a good card to pick, which in this case is going to be Luminous Bonds. The dream of Cherished Hatchling dying, flashing in Siegehorn Ceratops to fight a 1/1. I don't know if that's so easy to set up, but Luminous Bonds protects us. And that's all we really need from it. Ooh, Crested Herd Caller. At first I didn't see this card, and I was like, oh no, we have to pick a Sun Sentinel or Everdon Champion, or maybe another Pterodon. But this is a really high value card that's definitely going to make our deck. I'm glad we went into green after abandoning our first pick. Another Hunt the Weak. And an Evolving Wilds, which I'm never too sad to have. Needletooth Raptor, which could work in some situations. Yeah, ultimately Hunt the Weak is just what our deck wants. Especially if we can set up the dream play would be like Famished Paladin, Squire's Devotion, Hunt the Weak. Just 1, 2, 3. Or 2, 3, 4, depending on how you look at it. Artisan. Artisan pumps a few of our smaller guys. Cleansing Ray is still as good of a sideboard card as ever. I think we'll be able to pick up the playables we need. If we're really able to dip into red, we could pick Bombard up here, but I'm not worried about the power level of our deck, so Cleansing Ray. Swift Warden and Knight of the Stampede. That's never been as close a pick as it is now, with Zetalpa in our deck. Ultimately, I'll go for Swift Warden, though. Just an actual great uncommon from one of our main colors. Sun Sentinel and Evolving Wilds. I think I pick these lands a little too highly when there's a perfectly playable card in the pack, one that works well with Squire's Devotion. We have 2 of Hunt the Weak. We have 2 of, and we don't have anything to splash yet. Oh, I really like Evolving Wilds, though. I really like Evolving Wilds. Sorry, Sun Sentinel. You actually get a lot of 2-drops in white and in green in the last pack. And I just have a feeling we're going to find something splashable. The second Stone Quarry, maybe we don't need that, but I'm still not a huge fan of the cards in this pack. I'll take another Stone Quarry. Put my money where my mouth is here. This pick gets a little tougher. Snubhorn Sentry is going to be good in a deck that has so many ways to make multiple permanents in a turn, like 2 Squire's Devotions, Crested Herd Caller, and it's a good blocker early. Giltgrove Stalker, you don't really want this effect when you have a bunch of fight spells because it'll usually just trade. But you do want 2 drops. Colossal Dreadmaw also decent. I'll make sure we get enough 2 drops here by taking the Stalker. We don't have to fight it with something, it's just an option. Enter the Unknown. Not generally a huge fan of this card, but since all of our early creatures are so good, the possibility of getting a 1/1 counter just makes it that much better. So I'm not sure if we'd main deck Enter the Unknown, but it kind of makes sense there. A Sun Sentinel, that is a good 2-drop, and I'm glad we got one back. Heliopterus, got to give our Zetalpa flying somehow, right? Because I read the abilities, I don't remember all of them, but I'm not sure if flying was one. It's easy to forget. I know it definitely has Indestructible and Double Strike. Probably Vigilance. It can't have Trample too. Oh yep, Trample. Branchwalker, there's a 2-drop. Should be hexproof too, that would be great. Oh well, Zetalpa, you can't do everything. You can get water knotted. White-green though has so many ways of getting rid of enchantments like that. The few ways of locking it down. The best way I heard of was to use Skullduggery to make it a 3/7, and then the exile spell, Reaver or something. Reaver Ambush? From Rivals of Ixalan. And then of course you just use Moment of Triumph and they cry. Branchwalker. Not much to say about this pack. It's great because it has one really great card for our deck. And we'll take it. Whoa, Ranging Raptors and Tishana's Wayfinder. I really like the Wayfinder. But with 2 Hunt the Weeks and a Zetalpa in our deck, the Raptors has got to be the pick. Oh well, I mean they're both great, so wouldn't be sad with either of them. Here, Atsaken Archer. This is about as good as Atsaken Archer will ever be. We can fight it with our Ceratops to get in for 4 damage on turn 3. We can fight our Ranging Raptors. We can pick off other 1-drops and just block everything. That's got to be great here. Sorry, Inspiring Cleric, another one I would love to pick up. But Atsaken Archer just looks like it'll be so good here. We're never going to find a red card to use with our Stone Quarries. Oh well, the number of playables should be healthy without the cards we missed. Cobbled Wings, Colossal Dreadmaw, Shining Aerosaur. There's a lot of interesting options here. Even Ixali's Diviner and Kinjali's Caller, all these weird names, would make sense. But, you know, how much of a discount do we need on our 5-drops? I'll take the Dreadmaw. Dreadmaw's good top end. Foil, favorable wins. And another favorable wins. The flyer deck is getting paid off here. Another Tishana's Wayfinder, that's what we'll take. Another, meaning the second one we've seen, not the second one in our deck. Paladin of the Bloodstained. Helps out with our what? Our Ascend a little bit. Gives us a little lifelink. It's a bunch of creatures to block with. Yeah. That works. That works for me. Inspiring Cleric. I just love this card. Looking at our curve, we could also consider Ixali's Keeper and Paladin, but they're not as good as the Cleric. Alright, Rallying Roar. Might be good for our deck, especially since we're a little bit wide. The Honor Guard. I don't think this card's great. It also shuts down a lot of our Enter the Battlefield effects, which we have a bunch of. It's only creatures entering, but it even turns off our poor Swift Warden. Inspiring Cleric. Branchwalker. At this point, I'm happy to cut it, a Wayfinder, so that our opponents don't have it. Sunrise Seeker, Slash of Talons, and Raptor Companion. Maybe we don't play any of this, but there are some decks where we want the early interaction. Kinjali's Colors back. I told you we'd have too many playables. Orazka Relic's a cut here mainly because we have so many 3-drops, and they're just better. They're just better to get going. I will play Kinjali's Color because we're kind of light on early stuff to do, unless we really need a cut. Giltgrove Stalker is not what this deck really wants. So that's an early cut consideration. Inspiring Cleric. Rallying Roar, is that any good in this deck? We're not a super go wide deck. Moment of Triumph is just better and cheaper. So that is another reasonable cut. Evolving Wilds can come in. No need to splash, unfortunately, but you never know. We could have opened the big dragon mythic from Ixalan. And that would have been fine. You hit with that thing and hit a Tulpa off the top. 23 cards. Seems about right. So we play 8/8 and 1 from the Evolving Wilds. It looks like we need a little more early white, if I'm honest about it, but not by too much. Not by too much, and we do have double white and double green by turn 3. And then some more double green as we go up in mana cost. It looks like we're almost a little low on power. Am I crazy? Maybe I'm used to such high power in my decks. But this does look good. A little light on the early stuff. Let's see, Squire's Devotions can be kind of later. Hunt the Weeks are kind of later. Luminous Bonds removal. Slash of Talons on the weaker side. But this is what our curve looks like. So it's a lot of power on 3, a little more on 5, and then a lot in the late game. It's almost tempting to go down to 16 lands, but we really shouldn't, not with Zetalpa in our deck, even though we have some ramp for it with the Caller. Definitely capable of powerful curves. We'll have to watch out for those curves into 2, 3, and 4. Well, good luck. Round 1. Nice hand. Early stuff to do. If we can get our 3rd land, that should keep us going. Oh no, we're under some pressure though. We can't even interact with it, not even on our turn 1. That's alright. This thing will shut it down. Blue-red Pirates. Did they attack here? Buccaneers Bravado? Or whatever it is. Sure Strike. Well, that's fine. It uses up their turn, and we just want to survive. So I'm glad that didn't become too much more damage than it already was. Famished Paladin. The card's good, but it's not what we want. It's already worse than our Tishana's Wayfinder here, and they're just going to main phase bombard our 3/3. This game is just crazy. Yeah, let's go Paladin for mana efficiency, and then next turn, if we find land off our top 2, we'll be able to Squire's Devotion this thing. We shouldn't really offer that trade. So instead, it's Morphin time. This looks like one of the Power Rangers Zords, right? Weren't they dinosaurs? Back in the good old days, before they turned into like samurai or something. Cool. We take the 3. Squire's Devotion, as long as it gets in for 1 big hit, that should even things up a bit. They're leaving up 3 blue. That's a bit scary. 1 blue. And they're taking our token. You can't make this stuff up. Branch Walker. Oh, they're going to kill it in response. So cool. All right. This person has plays. Plays for days. Yeah, let's be greedy here. I'm going to put the devotion on this. If they do bounce it and don't just kill it, we'll be able to get our vampire token back, and it's a bit cheaper to bring back down. And it just gains us more life this turn. If they have another bombard, I guess that ends up being worse. But it's more likely they have some bounce here. Sure, we'll trade off. Just to keep our life total nice and high. Nice and healthy life total. Oh, not this again. This will give them a trade with the Paladin, which I'm fine with. It doesn't matter if our thing has vigilance or not, because why would it? Can't block anyway. Air Elemental. Yeah, that'll be hard to block. Leaving everything back. Force their hand here. Archer to fight with the Firebrand. So what are they going to hit? Us? Yeah, that thing. Come in with the Dreadmaw. They'll double block. So we'll 2-for-1 them here, and then they're just out of stuff. So finish this game up. If they can't draw anything relevant. The Flyer is the real tough thing for them to deal with. They're dead in 2 hits if they miss here, and they're not even going to try. All right. Some big flyers we can worry about. But our deck's set up well against that type of thing. Especially once we get old Zatalpa down. Another keepable hand, which does well in the early turns. I guess we'll try to slash that thing. Stopping on the main for some reason. Wait to the last chance so they can try to do something. Doesn't stop a raid trigger, but I guess they didn't really have that anyway. Oh, here we go. Famished Paladin. If they give it Menace, that's fine, because we can come back with Squire's Devotion. And if not, we just block it. Rigging Runner. My goodness. They're pretty low on cards here. We were already bluffing a white trick. So we should leave white open here. If they want a 2-for-1 themselves, that's great. It also tells us that they probably don't have a trick for next turn. They would just take the hit if they have a bounce spell here. But it gains us some life, and it's not too hard to replay our Famished Paladin. Both of these attacking. Yeah. It could be Sure Strike again. which also makes sense for them to leave back their stuff. I'm going to pin them on Sure Strike here. The attack it doesn't make sense if they don't have Sure Strike, and it makes a lot of sense if they have it. But I'll tell you what Sure Strike doesn't do. Save them from Hunt the Weak. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. That's unfortunate. That's too bad. Okay, let's just attack with both here. This looks a bit weird, but they don't want to get hit with the 4. Maybe they do. Huh. I'm surprised they let us get that hit in. Or maybe they were bluffing. Oh well, we'll use our mana up here. Get another little vampire in play. I certainly don't mind double blocking Headstrong Brute with these two, because Sure Strike just trades. It's going to trade with something anyway. Yeah, they'll let us have it. Good representation on their part if they don't have it. Fire Cannon Blast, well that works. Can't stop that. Wayfinder. Just top this again. They never expect the second one, so once we use our first one, they can play around the first one, but then they just won't play around the second one. Here we go. Attacking with Rigging Runner also doesn't make sense here, unless they have Sure Strike or something, but Sure Strike won't stop this block from working. Right, so maybe they just have a raid? Ah, they're just getting a little too ahead of themselves, I think. No, I'm not going to play around anything that much anymore. They have one card left in hand. Get the extra damage in here. Whoa, Sure Strike on that. They had Sure Strike the whole time? Maybe they just knew that it wasn't a good trade. Ridiculous. It still trades. I'm not too sad about that. But now they'll play out their 3/3 or 4/4 or whatever, and Hunt the Weak will be good. Squire's Devotion. Sure, make the greedy play again. Because they're top decking. They really wanted to trade here. But we know Bombard is in their deck. I guess they haven't used that up yet. But it's more likely it's in their bottom 24 than their top 1. So this is the moment where they really have to think, because there's two options: concede or play it out and lose in a couple turns. So this is what this pause is for. All right, they're going to play it out here. Unless they have something really strange going on. I guess they have this nice block to kill our 1/1. And Storm Sculptor, they can replay their Corsair. Hunt the Weak. Unfortunately, we can't do this so well with our Lifelinker, because they'll just take it. But we do we pin them, so they have to block there and get them to 1. All right, we got it. Rancor, and possibly a chance to showcase Zitalpa versus a mulligan. We're pretty well set up. We've got the combo here, as long as they don't mess it up somehow. Famished Paladin, Devotion into Hunt the Weak, and all we need is any land. And if all that doesn't work, well, we can still follow it up with a Crested Herd Caller, which is huge value. Yeah, the Dusk Legion is overrated. Maybe it's not. Oh no! That's not ideal. Tell you what. Let's just try to get a Herd Caller out next turn instead of trading this thing for their 2 creatures. One of which drew a card already. Bam. Here's Impale on the Paladin. Not yet. Well, at this point, I'm happy trading. So they're a little further away from Dusk Charger being good. And we can always untap it next turn with the Cleric if need be. We could have also used Hunt the Weak there. I'm hoping that we have 1 turn before they get the City's Blessing. It doesn't look like it. No! That's annoying. It's alright, we'll get Zetalpa eventually, so that's our 7-drop now with Kinjali's Caller in play. Cleric, just untap our Paladin here. Go up to 75 life, and we're all set up. So just 2 lands. Come on, we can do it. A double block on the Charger makes sense, and they don't want to run into that. Yes, more land, please. Any non-land to the graveyard. Any land, straight to the battlefield. The problem is, if we give them some time and they don't need to deal with anything on the board, they'll just deal with Zetalpa. Black, well, white at least has a bunch of pacifism effects. And we don't have main deck answers to those. Let's see what they got. They have to show us what they got. Zetalpa already? Wait, you didn't pay enough for that. Here it is. Some kind of bonds. Bonds of pacifism. The fact that they're hesitating at all means they don't have it. Or they have multiple ways of doing it and they don't know which way is best. And conceding means they don't have it. Thank goodness. Because it might have been too ambitious not to Hunt the Weak, the 5/5 early. And if I were to go back and do it again, I would Hunt the Weak early. That just became too much of a pain to attack through. I don't mind trading 3/3s for 3/3s, but I do mind attacking a 3/3 into a 5/5. Anyway, Cleansing Ray, I mean, my biggest fear there was that they had some way to pacify it, and Cleansing Ray gives us a way to deal with that straight off the bat. Atsukan Archer, still good with all the cards we have going. Slash of Talons, not so exciting against their deck. They either have 1/1s or 3/3s. So that's not very good. Nice. And having these high impact early creatures is where it's at. I guess technically we leave up Moment of Triumph because we can always gain 2 life off of their creature. But that would just never happen. Paladin versus Branchwalker. I guess we'll go for Branchwalker here. If it comes out as a graveyard with this, if it comes out as a 2/1, that's a nice thing to trade with a Raptor Companion. I'll still trade it here. I don't want to take 3 damage, which is why they go and kill it anyway. No, I needed land. It looked great because this thing usually finds lands. Just passing. How foolish of them. Champion, because now they can't even trade with our guy. The attack where we attack and then use Moment of Triumph uses up our whole turn, so I didn't want to offer that. It would have been a semi-bluff because we could have attacked and we could have supported it, but it wouldn't have actually worked out that well. What are they doing? They just have nothing? I can't believe that. I don't believe it. I won't believe it. Oh well. All in. Vraska's Contempt off the top here. They must not have it. They must not have it. I'll even come in with the Everdon Champion. So they have a Pump Spell, but they'll still trade. Thank goodness. First strike for vampires, but not for little dinosaurs. Arterial Flow. So what cards aren't we ever casting for the whole game? That would be Colossal Dreadmaw and Swift Warden. Draw green off the top. Not even. Play this right. Play around Slash of Talons. The best tricks are from Ixalan because your opponent is less likely to expect them, being a little less common. And there's a lot to be said for that. If your trick isn't quite as good, but it's less easy to play around, or less likely that they'll play around, that gives you some value. Oh no. Prevent all combat damage, so that doesn't apply to Hunt the Weak, unfortunately. They just don't have a very powerful draw here, is what I expect. And Moment of Triumph will let our guy live. Keep developing here. Dark Inquiry. Now they get our best cards, but they're going to be dead in a couple turns. Double Hunt the Weak. Good luck. Are they dead this turn? Not quite. One more turn. Smooth sailing against the very few flash creatures that Black-White can have. I'll see you in the finals. Round 3 versus Limited Master Kenny the Pig. Are they on the... They must be up there. Oh, they are up there at the very top with 39 trophies. Time to steal one. And they're down to 6 cards. All right, it's in the bag. Can't lose to a mulligan, not with this deck. Could easily lose to a mulligan, but that's not the point. Look, you got to be confident. Can't win without confidence. All right, Tishana's Wayfinder. Draws a land. That's great. It even draws the right color. We're a card ahead. They're a card behind. They knew about that forest, so we might as well play it. Not trying to be too tricky here. And then we can use Moment of Triumph. And then if they had Slash of Talons, Swift Warden would have been absurd. But I don't mind trading our 1-mana thing for their only creature. Yes, that's fine. Herd Caller. This will be a quick one, I'm afraid. They've got to trade off because they're just taking too much damage. And we can go Herd Caller. 2 hits of 9. Ooh, Firebrand. I'm not sure that's what they want. It can block 3 damage here if we don't pick it off with our archer. So they'll just go ahead and do 1 damage to us. And they say if they have to take 9 2 turns in a row, they probably can't win. Nice. Game up. Game up against a red-white deck, against which Slash of Talons becomes more powerful. Encampment Keeper also could be good, but we'll send it back like this. Alright, another nice start here. When you have your early creatures early. If they're a Mind Reader, what they'll do is they'll hold back their Firebrand this next turn to pick off our Branch Walker before it can explore. Good. They're not a Mind Reader. Still might not be great for us, but that can go on top. Against an aggressive white-red deck, getting that 1 lifelink hit in is powerful. They've got their own lifelink. Ranging Raptors. Also, attack, why not? Most of the removal here would just do damage. White has the pacifism effects, which would be just worst case for us. But otherwise, they can't attack and give us a land. It'd just be too much advantage. You sort of wonder what they could have here. The play... Here's what they're going to do. They're going to chump the Raptors with the Firebrand and then single block the Branch Walker with a Vampire, which is fine. And that's assuming they have no tricks. Or this. This is not what I was expecting. Maybe they think their Firebrand will be better. They have the 4-drop Dinosaur in hand. And they're saving the Firebrand to do 1 damage to it to get that Enrage trigger and kill one of our things. That's the only thing I can think of there. Or maybe they just correctly assumed that a 1-mana thing that can ping is better than a 1/1 lifelink. A little more versatile. I overvalue the lifelink. Cool. Yeah, they know we have the Devotion, so they're holding up Bombards and whatnot on their turn, and now they'll do the trick. But yeah, we have to go for it. We can't just do nothing. Put out the Pterodon. Pterodon is hard for them to deal with, and it uses up our mana. So next turn we have 6 if we want to do the Wayfinder and the Devotion. If they play a big old dinosaur here, then the Devotion just becomes insane. So yeah, it looks like a good chance to use Devotion. Lightning Strike doesn't finish it off. We have our Vigilant guy that can get through. They don't want to they don't want to just block 2 damage and give us a land, but they also don't want to take 2 damage. Let's see what we can explore. Slash of Talons, that doesn't do it for me here. You don't always get a deck where every card is so high impact, and you have opportunities to play things differently, but our deck fits the bill. Brazen Freebooter, they've got 2 mana up. The attack that doesn't make sense is with the raptors. But then, if they make this trade, we can attack the raptors in next turn too. Great, just what I wanted to see, another 6 power on the board. Now, if they have Slaughter the Strong, things get a little awkward for us. We still keep a 3/6 lifelink flying in play, and I guess a 1/1. But without Slaughter the Strong, this is going to be an uphill battle for them. Ooh, Ixali's Binding. Almost as good. Now we can't play any more of our Sun-Crested Pterodons. Yeah, this is just not ideal for them. If we attack with everything... No, we can't do that. We should just attack with these two and kill one. Let's think about it. They're at 11 life. If we attack with everything, then they could either double block ranging raptors and take 7. That puts them at 4. That's pretty low, but they have 2 blockers back. They could block singly the raptors and the vampire and take 6. Yeah, it does make sense to attack all out here, even though they could keep both. If we just attack with the 2 3/3s, we only get 3 damage in, and they kill one. And this way they don't kill any. And they're still going to make this block. So, well, if this is the block they make, it's definitely correct to attack with everything. Alright, they're at 5. To make sure we win next turn, we have to play out our Dreadmaw. Hope they don't top deck land and Star of Extinction. There it is. There's the 7. My opponent always has Settle the Wreckage. So let us attack with the minimum needed to win. This will get in 3 if they block it. 5. And then we'll be left with a couple good creatures back. This plays worse around other things. Like Divine Verdict, for instance. But I always want to play around Settle the Wreckage. In any case, we can kill their last blocker here. Thin our deck. In retrospect, that was a bad attack. Hunt the Weak. Take 6. Win the tournament. This turn they'll have Settle the Wreckage. You watch. Don't do it. Okay, another Divine Verdict. Another Divine Verdict off the top, though. That is scary. But this will finish things up. Bam. Well, good games. 3-0, 6-0 here with Zetalpa. Zetalpa, green, white dinosaurs. Yeah, we'll even thin our deck a bit more. Always play around Settle the Wreckage.